So I get $3,000 in food stamps. Obviously it's 8 of us, so you do the math. That's why I get 3,000. I have no income, so obviously I'm gonna get the full benefit amount. Does that make you mad too? Does it make you mad that the government is helping me feed my children? Does that make you want to punch me in my face? Does that make you angry? Does that make you shiver in your boots? Yeah. Be mad. Stay mad. How else am I gonna feed my kids? I don't have a job. Even though I'm going to an interview today. God, like I said, I took your advice. So it is what it is.
What are your thoughts? Comment below.
I'm glad that these food stamps are being taken away because, you know, that shit was, all that government assistance shit was designed to keep the black man out of the household anyway. That was the incentive. Don't have a man in the house, and these women get to have the government.
Hold on. He's going into, so we need to read his caption. So his caption says, "I'm glad these food stamps are being cut. Maybe the average man that makes 40,000 to 50,000 a year can get some love now." We're gonna talk about it.
The household anyway. That was the incentive. Don't have a man in the house, and these women get to have the government assistance. All that money in food stamps, feeling like they don't need a man. I'm glad that food stamps still gone. Now the average guy that makes 40,000 to maybe $50,000 a year, it will be appreciated and loved on more now. Yeah, all that $100,000 stuff, yeah, that stuff ain't never made sense. You know what I'm saying? It's possible for a man to make that, but the average guy ain't making it. Maybe the average guy can get some love now, man. Thank you, Trump. The average man can get some love now. Because these women, man, have become so delusional over these past few years, it don't even make no sense, man. I'm glad they taking these food stamps away. I'm 100%, like, I'm really utterly I'm in bliss right now. Like, I'm glad they taking it away. Maybe the average man can get some love now. Yeah. Go text Bob the electrician back, love. He waiting on you. And he gonna treat you right. Man, I'm really glad.
Here's my thing about that, right? For me, what's important to me is I have to have a strong foundation from the start, right? I have to have a solid foundation, and that's in everything that I do. That's in everything that I do. So I get what he's saying, I guess. But to be honest, somebody who has the proclivity and propensity to just walk out whenever there's a better option or whenever there's an option that basically would free them from me, I don't want a foundation where you really don't want to be here. And any opportunity that comes up, you look at that as your escape, like you can get away from me. Like if you don't want to be here, you don't got to be here. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with like, because here's why. My reason is because I want to know that, right? And I think that when you give people the option, you get to learn the hard thing early before you get too invested and too entangled. And then you find it out later where it can actually do some collateral damage to yourself. So I don't mind that option being there so that it lets me know who's for me and who's not for me. But it sounds like he's okay with, somebody being with him or whatever for necessity, which I think that it is a necessity. I think people do need to get together more for necessity because that's really just how things were designed. But at the same time, there are some people that just really don't and that just really want to be independent. And I don't want the only thing and the sole thing is you're with me because, strictly on survival, nothing else. Me personally, I feel like that can have the opportunity to do a lot of damage moving forward. And I'm somebody who I feel like I kind of know my trajectory. So I can't leave room for that. And so I built the foundation from the start. Y'all, before we get into the next clips, if you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second and it actually helps out more than you know. And also if you could hype. So his caption says, "Food stamps this, food stamps that. Y'all are a mess, but I bet you paid for them knotless though." I don't know what knotless is.
Paying for your groceries with a food stamp card with a fresh set of $400 bohemian braids in your head is the exact reason why they need to do a reform. I will not sit up here and say that they need to take food stamps, because there absolutely are some people that could benefit from some help from the government, but you hoes know y'all been sitting back taking advantage. And what's so funny to me is y'all don't know anything about politics, y'all don't know anything about what's going on in the world, but the moment they mention taking food stamps or taking housing away or taking anything away that got to do with the government giving you some free money so you can sit up and spend your money on whatever the hell you want to, but then you want us taxpayers to take care of your kids. That's what goes crazy about America. If America does not have some kind of reform on food stamps and housing, we are going to be a third world country before you know it. I really feel like y'all are mad because there is a true businessman in the office. I do feel like Donald Trump can be a little bit explosive and a little bit over the top, but if you really sit down and listen and dissect the things that he's saying, there are a few times that I really don't agree with what he's saying. Now, I'm not finna get on here acting like a Trump supporter and all the things. I don't have time for y'all to call me a coon. I could be a coon, maybe I am a coon. At the end of the day, if you could go pay somebody to do you some $300, $400, $500 braids, even if they $250, you can go pay for some groceries to be in your house, period. Y'all don't believe in sacrificing for y'all kids. Y'all believe.
Ooh, ooh, dang! I shouldn't have stopped it there. He's about to go right into what I be talking about, but I had to stop it because I had to flag this. I think it's so funny that people act like you can't say that somebody had a point if you just don't agree with them, right? People just hate Trump or whatever, but you can't even acknowledge if he does anything right. Otherwise, like he just said, you'll be flagged as these terms that are really manipulation tactics, to be able to try to shame you and to be able to stop you from ultimately just being able to think freely and think for yourself, right? And so I don't subscribe to that either. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be objective all the way across the board. And you're not going to tell me the sky is red when I see that it's blue. I.e., if we translate to what he's talking about, if the president does something good or whatever the case, you're not going to say, oh, no, you can't talk about that because we just don't rock with him no matter what. No, I'm going to give the credit. I'm going to give the kudos because it's funny. People wouldn't want that to be them, right? They wouldn't want to be at work and just because somebody doesn't like you, if you do a good job, they don't give you what you deserve, or they don't at very least give you your credit and tell you, yes, that was a good job, right? So we have to be fair and we have to treat people how we would want to be treated. But I think it's funny, we started to lose that. And now people are starting to just become so radical. And funny enough, they're getting radical about things that have just been fed to them. They haven't even really thought about it for themselves or evaluated it for themselves.
Don't agree with what he's saying. Now, I'm not finna get on here acting like a Trump supporter and all the things. I don't have time for y'all to call me a coon. I could be a coon, maybe I am a coon. At the end of the day, if you could go pay somebody to do you some $300, $400, $500 braids, even if they $250, you can go pay for some groceries to be in your house, period. Y'all don't believe in sacrificing for
Ooh,
y'all kids. Y'all believe in sitting back doing the bare minimum and then collecting your stamps to pay for it.
ooh, ooh.
Damn near everybody that I know, almost every single person that I know.
Look at that. Look at that. I missed that. So what he's saying is your priorities is messed up. You'll prioritize looking cute so you can go to the club and so that you can do all these things and so that you can basically go and mate and procreate with the worst men alive, right? It's never a man who is like, well, that was a good choice of a father. He's gonna actually raise his kid and do it's always the worst of the men of the male population, which is also funny enough a small minority of the population as well. It'll become so much friction that you'll even be trying to get with dudes in prison. I've never met a dude in jail or in prison who had problems with women. I meet tons of dudes that got all their ish together, got houses, got cars that have problems with women. I think that's incredible. But what is he saying? Y'all keep your hair done, you'll get these braids, you'll do this, you'll do that, but then complain that you don't have this for your kids or whatever the case. But we can never really get too granular and we can never really go into the statements and see what you're actually been spending your money on. I think what we'll find, every person complaining has taken a trip within at least the last 6 months and guaranteed the trip was a few grand, but yet you have no savings. Some of these things are amazing. And you know what's crazy too? He gets to say whatever he wants, right? And he gets to do it however he wants, and nobody will attack him. Because is it correct? Is it politically correct to just say he's sassy? Can I just say he's sassy? So the sassy segment can do that. And see, I know they're like, oh no, that was our last layer of protection. Because see, he can just come here and say what he wants. He not gonna get scrutinized. They'll join in on it. But let somebody else try to do it. They try to take them down, right? Nah, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna put barriers to telling the truth and just being honest about what you see.
$300, $400, $500 braids, even if they $250, you can go pay for some groceries to be in your house, period. Y'all don't believe in sacrificing for y'all kids. Y'all believe in sitting back doing the bare minimum and then collecting your stamps to pay for it. Damn near everybody that I know, almost every single person that I know that's on food stamps can honestly pay for food for their family. They have some kind of means to get up and go pay for their family. Some people will not get a job, a better job to provide and have a better quality of life because they don't want their stamps or housing to be turned off. Like, stamps this, stamps that. Food, like, y'all are not invested into politics or anything else that has to do with this country, the world, the leaderships, the Senate, the fucking Congress, the president, or anything else until they start talking about taking what? Free shit. As soon as they start talking about taking free shit away from y'all, then all of a sudden it's a whole whirlwind. Everything is trending on Twitter, Facebook. It's trending on TikTok. Like, y'all really need to get a grip with reality. And I say that because I actually know some people that are in their 60s that can't even get more than $20 of stamps because they claim that their first of the month social security check, there's not even much of anything, not much or nothing, maybe $1,000. They're telling those people that they make too much on stamps, but all y'all got to do is continue to pop out kids and they gonna keep giving you more and more stamps. This is not.
And notice, see, he brought up the elderly that they can't even get what they need because of abuse. But what do people always do who's abusing it? They like to bring up, well, what are we gonna do? He's hurting the elderly, the veterans, whatever. No, you're hurting them because you don't need it. And like he just said, you just have bad priorities and you're trying to take advantage and capitalize off something. Let me let him finish cooking. Then we're gonna really get into it. Because this is good. This is really
they're
good.
telling those people that they make too much on stamps, but all y'all got to do is continue to pop out kids and they gonna keep giving you more and more stamps. This is not right. I don't understand how y'all gonna sit back and act like this, right? Then most of y'all to get food stamps, all y'all do is fill that shit up with a whole bunch of diabetic foods, a whole bunch of chips, candy, juice, and snacks and shit, and Kool-Aid and ramen noodles and all that kind of microwavable food and bullshit like that, baby. Y'all don't know nothing about no chicken and rice, no eggs. Y'all don't go try to do no roast on Sunday, nothing. Then let's not even get on the ones that sitting up there selling the stamps. Y'all are all a hot mess, and I cannot wait until they do something to reform this. Again, they don't need to take it away, but a reform is definitely needed. Paying for your groceries with a food stamp card.
Oh, see, that was a rant. And see how it flows so naturally and how he was just going, like he was in flow state. That's how you know he's telling the truth. And I say all this to say, because he is a part of the sassy segment, double S, he is involved in some of these intimate moments. He gets to see behind the curtains, right? Wizard of Oz, you remember that thing was behind the curtains and it wasn't what it seemed like? See, he's behind the curtains. So he gets to really get the intimate details, the intimate information that people don't like to just say out loud, but that they'll say behind closed doors. He's been hearing these things. He's been seeing these things. He's been around these things because he's been allowed access. And he's looking at it. He's like, this ain't right. He's looking because he still got logic. Just because he's a part of double S don't mean he don't got logic. So he's still got logic. So he's looking at, he's like, nah, this ain't right. This ain't moral. Like, y'all are taking advantage for real. But then what he said is contradicting what you're saying because you're complaining that you're not going to have something. You're not going to be able to feed your kids or whatever. But I've been watching you and you just have been making bad decisions and you haven't been prioritizing your kids this whole time. Because let's go back to this part. This part was super important. And I remember I was watching it and I flagged it.
The fucking Congress invested into politics or anything else that has to do with this country, the world, the leaderships, the Senate, the fucking Congress, the president, or anything else until they start talking about taking what? Free shit. As soon as they start talking about taking free shit away from y'all, then all of a sudden it's a whole whirlwind. Everything is trending on Twitter, Facebook. It's trending on TikTok. Like, y'all really need to get a grip with reality. And I say that because I actually know some people that are in their 60s that can't even get more than $20 of stamps because they claim that their first of the month social security check, there's not even much of anything.
I might not have went back to what I wanted to, But ultimately, what it was just about the priorities, and he started giving the rundown as far as what they were spending all the money on and all the priorities, and then how it tied into other people who actually need these programs not being able to get these programs. And they've been disclosing that with him, and they've been sharing that with him, and ultimately he's been able to observe that. And I think that's incredible, and I'm glad he went ahead and just did the right thing and disclosed that, because that's what we say all the time. But everybody acts like nobody ever has gotten the statistics of the fraud going on, but they always want to talk about it's these veterans on here, it's disabled. Everyone who talks about these things always make sure to exclude that and say that they should be fine. But the people abusing it, wasting it, taking advantage of it, they are the segment, they are the population that we need to put under the microscope, and that we need to make sure can no longer abuse these things. And, funny enough, too, like you were saying, he even mentioned it. That's what I was trying to go back to. When he mentioned y'all are intentionally popping out kids and doing all this stuff to get more. And then you're quitting your job, you're leaving your job just to get more on the benefit side, as opposed to actually working and doing all the things that you possibly can to be able to survive. You're not trying your hardest. And he basically put that to the forefront. And that was necessary. That was needed.
Let's get into this. Let's play the clip of the EBT crying about the government shutting down. They can't get their food stamps and EBT cards instead of getting up and go getting a job. This is an able-bodied man. You can't go get a job, bro.
Oh, wow.
Roll the clip.
I got an email from EBT. I used to get $740 a month for my 2 kids. And we not getting EBT no more. They took the EBT. They saying I gotta work 20 hours a week. I'm not working for nobody. Get the fuck out of here. This is what Americans, taxpayer, work for us. They work for me. They gotta help me feed my fucking kids. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be quitters now. Y'all been helping us all this time. Now y'all want to tap out. Get the fuck out of here. I want my EBT, yo. I want my EBT, and I'm not working for nobody. I'm a boss. What the fuck I look like working?
So I'm a boss.
When the government is here to help. Come on. Y'all send all that money to Iraq, Ukraine. Y'all funding all these wars. But when it's time to help the Americans, y'all don't want to help us. I need my EBT, yo. I need my money, yo. I need my EBT. Stop playing with me, yo.
That's got to be a parody. I think that's a parody. You think somebody that stupid. It could be real, though. I ain't going to even lie. We got some other ones? Let's run them. They get stupider.
Oh, it get worse?
Donald Man J. Trump. I'm going to tell you just like this. What the fuck you mean? Who ain't getting their goddamn food stamps again in November? Because I'm getting my... I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm getting my... Because I'm going to tell you just like this. On Jesus Lamar Christ, I will be at Walmart with my steel toes on and my helmet, and I dare a try to stop me from walking out that store with my groceries. Baby, I'm 250 pounds solid. Baby, you want to see a human bulldozer, baby? Because that's what the fuck I'm going to turn into. If you think you're going to stop me from leaving out that store with my monthly groceries that I get every month, I ain't bothering nobody, okay?
Let's get into this.
And then you know what's crazy? Did you hear her basically say on, she said on religious, you know what I'm saying? She basically put it on Jesus Christ. That's what she said, that she's going to go and do that. And that she's going to go and steal and do all this type of stuff. And that kind of leads us back to that first clip we watched of that first lady who was rubbing it in everybody's face. And it's like she was poking the bear, right? It's like she was poking the bear. Similar thing. Listen, man, these people will say that they're Christians. They'll say they're religious and all this type of stuff. But then they feel like they can just disrespect the religion. Ain't that funny? Just because they get in their feelings, and then they wonder why they're not getting the outcomes that they want to get. They wonder why things just continue to be hard. You claim to be spiritual, you claim to have a faith, but when ish hits the fan, what gets showed is you really don't have that faith, or you really don't care about it, or prioritize it, or really just value it, right? You value the world, and you value you being able to be untamed, unhinged, and not having to answer to nothing or nobody, right? Not having to answer to nothing, not having to be humble to nothing. And that's the problem. And it kind of pans back into what that other brother said, where he was like, brothers who have 40,000, 50,000, now they're going to have to get with you, or now they're going to have to capitulate and, or not even capitulate, but just compromise and come together. But it's like, look at this. Come together. She don't even respect the Most High. So it's like, how can you ever expect her to just respect you? Especially, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you want that in your life? I'll tell you right now, somebody capable of behaving like that, acting like that, and then disrespecting their own faith, which is supposed to be the highest, the highest entity in their life, just because they're upset or whatever the case, and then come online and display it. What are you representing? Who are you accountable to? I definitely have to hold myself to a certain standard and represent myself in a certain way, not just for myself, but I represent other people, people that I'm close with. I represent that. I represent what that stands for, and I hold a certain standard to that. But it's like, what are you representing? Clearly, it's not your faith, because you just disgraced your faith, and you just clearly showed that you don't really care about it, and that you don't really hold it that high on top of a pyramid as far as your priorities.
We've been getting our doors kicked in and stuff. This is not for us. So don't take this as personal about the food stamps and all that. I'm actually glad they cutting some of these off food stamps, because some of us need to not be on food stamps, because it's a trickle down effect. You get the food stamps, then you go buy the food that give you cancer. Then you eat the food that give you cancer. Then you're sad. You walk around here upset. Your diet's fucked up. Now I'm gonna tell you some honest God truth. Your diet then sent a lot of to prison.
Explain.
They're gonna take all of this and put it on Fox News.
Yeah.
Cut off.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking the whole time, because it's like he's teetering on the edge. Like, he really wants to just say, like, y'all lazy, like, y'all need to get off this, y'all taking advantage of it. But it's kind of like he's shifting it to the food, and he's still talking about the good things. See, I'm not going to pick apart everything and expect, he's got money tied to this, I'm sure, his success. So you don't want to, I guess, turn off too many people. He's probably even got businesses affiliated with him, sponsoring him, to where he has to operate within a certain way and under certain parameters. However, I don't think that he just thinks that it's just about your diet and all this type of stuff. He knows that it's just really a big issue. And it's like when you see stuff and you're just like, man, people are being lazy. People are just trying to take the easy road. And he's older, he's got wisdom. So he is obviously going to get against that. I'm pretty sure he didn't get to where he is in his life and in his comedy career by cutting corners. But when he sees other people doing it, he knows what the lasting effects are going to be, and that they're really not operating to their full capacity and their full capability to be all that they can be.
Grown man on TikTok complaining Trump cut his food stamp down from $2,800 to $300 a month. Bro gotta be in his late 40s talking about Trump cut his food stamps down, bro. Go get a job, bro. Go work. Go punch somebody clock. Go, what?
I'm just gonna say it, and I don't care who get mad. Shouldn't no grown ass able-bodied people be freaking out about no food stamps? If you got 2 legs, 2 arms, you can get up and talk on the phone. You can get up and take your behind to work. I'm talking to able-bodied. I'm just.
Y'all want to know why I can't work? I can't work because I have kids. Not that I don't want to work. I want to work. I want a job. I want a routine. But I have kids and no support system. I moved to a completely new state away from all of my family so that I can be in a better situation. And these are the steps and processes that I have to go through. So with that being said, applying for jobs is not easy. I have this big of an availability, and a lot of jobs don't like that. So when I'm going through the hiring process and we're going through availability and all of these things, and when my window is only 3 or maybe 4 hours.
I didn't read the caption, my bad. So the caption says, I can't work, I have kids. Mom snaps after food stamps cut to $60.
Hours where I can work, or initially I couldn't establish secure childcare. Yeah, I had a voucher, but I had a newborn infant, breastfed infant at that, where it's not easy to just leave my baby with anybody just so that I can meet all of y'all's standards and expectations. No, I'm going to continue to do what's best for me and my children and make sure they're good. If you don't like it, it's fine. God is on my side. And that's all that matters. So now when things change, when I can find secure childcare that I trust, and my child and me are ready for her to go to daycare, then hey, when my kids, when I can get my kids in the after school YMCA program to open that availability, then hey. But until then, being a mother just doesn't allow me to work right now, and I'm doing what's best for me and mine. So if you don't like it, that's fine. But just remember, we could all be in my shoes. Any day, anytime. Love y'all.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Goodness, man. You see these women, they put themselves in these positions. And, some of you guys up there will say, but the man. But at the same time, what we do know is that one out of wedlock birth, okay, maybe, you were young, you get a pass. But multiples with no plan, no real plan on how you were going to provide for these children is a problem. And your poor choices should not be placed at the foot of the taxpayers. Now, I'm all for helping those who need a helping hand and help.
Yeah, I agree. And I think here's what I want to ask y'all. Like, how is it controversial to tell people that they shouldn't have kids without a plan? Did y'all know that's controversial to say? That why did you have kids without a plan? And it's still even controversial to say if somebody has done it multiple times and still continued to do it repetitively, and there's a track record of that shows that, well, hold on now. Like he said, I'll give you the first one, maybe even the second one. How did we get to the sixth one? Is what people want to know. And that's controversial to even still bring that up. Do y'all know it's just controversial to just inquire and just like try to understand like what was the thought process so that you can get to the root of the problem and so that you can ultimately help them to overcome the problem so that it doesn't continue to be a problem? Because it's apparently controversial to bring it up while even when we're at number 6 and to try to understand it. But then when they continue to do it and then they get to 9, and then it's still controversial. But so my question is, who can stop it then? Who can say something about it? Because obviously the people that are doing it aren't aware of it, right? Because they don't have to be responsible for it and we can't talk about it. So obviously we're giving them so much grace that we're just saying, well, they don't know what they're doing. So have a little compassion, have a little sympathy. But then we can't interject and inject the advice in there to tell them, hey, stop doing this. You're doing it to yourself. And it shouldn't have to fall back on other people to have to then be responsible for after the fact. But then that's controversial. So now we're in this cycle where it's basically impossible and just people get to do whatever they want and get saved and they don't have any responsibility for it. So that then reinforces and then incentivizes them to continue to do it.
Okay, maybe, you were young, you get a pass. But multiples with no plan, no real plan on how you were going to provide for these children is a problem. And your poor choices should not be placed at the foot of the taxpayers. Now I'm all for helping those who need a helping hand and helping those who are willing to help themselves. I'm all for that. But you have so many people out here that are entitled. And I'm sorry, man, you having out of wedlock births, me, it doesn't, guarantee you or, require the American taxpayer to foot the bill for your children and you wanting to be a stay-at-home mom. It's unfortunate you placed yourself in this position, but I mean,
Dang.
come on, man. At what point do you take responsibility for the poor choices and decisions that you've made?
I'm glad he said that. I'm glad he used that word too. Like you wanting to be a stay-at-home mom. People be wanting to have everything. They want everything. They don't want to make no compromises, no concessions. They just feel like life is supposed to give them everything. People want to be single mothers and then stay-at-home mothers at the same time. Let that breathe. There's people who feel like they're entitled to be single mothers and stay-at-home mothers. And this is how we get back to the plan part. How did you plan that out? You know what might be crazy? It might be a plan, but it's just an egregious plan. And it's a plan that double S at the beginning brought up, which is that people will intentionally have a bunch of kids and intentionally do these things because they know that they are incentivized to do it, and they know that that actually then gets them access to a whole lot of help. And so that actually is a viable path to be just that. And it's a path that's been carved out and that hasn't been regulated. And so people have continued to exploit it. And so now we've gotten here because people are also being like the first one to where they come out on here and they poke the bear and they rub it in people's faces. And so you effed around and you found out. And now you no longer have that option. And the rug is being pulled from under you in real time. And so now people have to respond accordingly to all the decisions and all the self-inflicted wounds that they made on themselves.
Now, I'm one of those kind of people, I think that, moms should stay home with their children, but that means someone is going to go out and work for you and your children. Should be your husband. But we have entirely too many people that have said, nah, I don't want no husband. I'm going to depend on the federal government, which really means I'm going to depend on the taxpayers' dollars. But let's keep going. There's a couple other clips I want to share
there's
with you
more.
guys, man, because this is just sad, man. It's sad.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's about to get good. How about this, y'all? This was a good one. Y'all let me know if y'all want to see like a part 2 of this, where we do more of these. Let me know about that, and we can do a part 2. We'll probably just start right into this, the next part of this video. But if not, then we'll continue business as usual. I appreciate all the support from everybody. If you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. It only takes a second, and it actually helps out more than you know. And also, if you could hype the video. Hype is a new feature that YouTube offers where it helps smaller content creators like myself. And basically, when you hype, it actually pushes us to the extent that it pushes the larger content creators. So you just press the hype button and it shows the points. And since I am a smaller channel, we get more points per hype. So it was designed for smaller content creators, and that's why we get more points. And also, if you try to go back too far, I think hype goes away after 7 days on a video. So you won't see it anymore after 7 days. So it's best to usually strike or hype while the iron is hot. And then also Patreon's link below if you want to see self-improvement content as well. But until then, I'll catch you in the next video.